Happy Pride to the girls, the gays, the lesbians, anybody who's ace, transgender, pansexual, everybody, and demisexuals, anybody, everybody. This is that special time of year where corporations that otherwise could not give a shit less are going to stick a rainbow on everything and take advantage of it and make some money. But don't let that stop you. Get that merch, man. I mean, unless the corporation's filtering the money to something evil, but if they're not, who cares? Get that merch. Be excited. Be proud. Most of the people that are hating on anybody who's, participating in Pride Month or, I don't want to hear about that. I'm not interested. That doesn't exist to me. Stop. The vast majority of those people I have found, they're on that journey too, and they're just struggling, raging really hard against the machine, and they're confused and a little scared. The pipeline from hater to figuring out that they themselves fall on that spectrum in some way is usually a very, very straight pipe. Or at least they think it's a straight pipe, and then there's some wiggles, if you know what I mean. I too am on that journey. So if you don't know where you're at yet, that's okay. I am constantly questioning sexuality, gender, and many other things about myself. It's a special month, and it's a good time for me to just go ahead and acknowledge anybody who happens to be on the spectrum and acknowledge that they're on the spectrum, myself included. I don't know where I even land on that in the LGBTQ plus community. I've explored that for a long time. I've questioned a lot about myself, and if that makes you uncomfortable, I would say I apologize, but the reality is you should apologize and do some self-review about how much of your worldview you want to implant on other people. So no, I'm not sorry. I've worked through a lot of my own mentality about what it means to be within that community and whether or not I even belong in that community. And on the one hand, as somebody who's identified as largely a straight cis male most of my life, it is hard to say that I do belong to that community. And in some cases, I don't think that's fair for me as somebody who's been benefited by the system at large. I've had my share of small hiccups and bullying for being somewhat effeminate looking or presenting less mask than I should or having interests that don't align with that. But does that mean that I've experienced actual bigotry? No. So in a lot of ways, I don't feel I claim to deserve that title. I know people are going to be like, no, that's fine. You're fine. That doesn't change anything from my perspective as somebody who has not suffered in the same way other people have. But I definitely think I do fall somewhere within that spectrum. I do not think I am necessarily asexual. I do not think I fall in that bracket. I have, desire and drive at times, and it's just very, very, very much superseded by my desire and drive to be an absolute loser nerd. I don't know if I'm pan or bi or where I fall on that list, honestly, because some days it's really hard for me to tell. I don't think that I necessarily identify as gender fluid, but I don't think that I necessarily identify very strongly with masculine aesthetics or ideals either. So I'm somewhere in there. It's gray, it's nebulous. I'm not going to put a title on it because I don't know what that title is yet. And I might never know, and I'm comfortable with that. But a lot of people want to know, and you should be comfortable with them saying what they are. It's only in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been really critically evaluating and being like, hey man, maybe I just don't vibe with gender. Mostly because I don't like the restrictions. I like playing all-rounder characters in video games, and that extends to life, baby. I think there's a lot of hate going around, both towards Pride, but also, I get that it could feel maybe a little targeted or a little painful or a little annoying to hear so many /derogatory straight jokes. But I think if we all viewed it with a little bit of grace, we could understand that is coming from a place of hurt most of the time and a lifetime of being persecuted for very superficial shit about who you love or how you identify. For now, I would say, hey man, be supportive. And if you see hate, it's probably not directed at you, dude. Unless you feel hateful, it's not at you. Until I have made a decision about where I sit, or until I've planted my lips on a fellow dude, or decided I'm not planting my lips on anyone, it is hard for me to feel validated in saying I land in the LGBTQ plus spectrum because I don't know. I will say this. I support the community at large, and I think that I belong somewhere within it, I hope. And maybe I don't know. But I don't think that I really sit very comfortably as a cisgendered heterosexual guy either. So I don't know. I'm landing somewhere probably one day, or maybe I never land anywhere, and I just keep not understanding the concept of who I am as far as sexuality or gender my whole life, and that's okay too. Happy Pride, everybody. Sorry, I never got to the full message of what I was trying to say or consolidating it because I keep getting distracted. So I'm going to get distracted one more time, and then I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say this, and this is my closing statement. Here we go. happy Pride. This is not the only month to be proud. Be proud of who you are, no matter where you fall within the LGBTQ plus community. And if you're, you know, a happy straight dater, that's super fucking cool too. That is no shade to you. Hopefully you are wise enough and introspective enough to know that a month about being proud is not a month against you. And I hope you're proud for everybody too. You're totally valid. You're valid if you're aro, ace, you still fall in pride. If you are somebody who feels demisexual, bisexual, pansexual, gay, lesbian, you fall within the spectrum. You're no less valid than anybody else. Don't let anybody tell you this. Transsexuals, everybody here, you're welcome, you're chill. As long as you're not hurting anybody, just your life, dude. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of existing. You guys are okay. You're all fine. There's only one type of person I do not accept here, and that is people who have blind hatred that is not grounded in any objective reality or any sort of self-introspection. If you have blind hatred for somebody, you didn't belong here. I'm not sorry to say that. I don't give a Somebody somewhere is furiously typing up something right now, and they're like, actually, he attacked me, and he is woke. Hey man, if you identify as somebody who blindly hates and doesn't review why you hate things, yes, you in particular. As a corporate entity, you can't say that. I'm not saying that as a corporate entity. That's for me. You. If you identify as that, if you genuinely are okay with that, and that's who you want to be as a person, take your licks, brother. You have the freedom to feel that way, and I have the freedom to tell you to go get bent. I think the problem that I often find in streaming communities is that if you do not talk specifically about this topic, specifically about sexuality, gender, things like that, if you don't bring it up, it is too easy for people with an agenda or a message of hate to feel comfortable in that space. However, I also don't just want to pay lip service and feel like I am trying to create a platform where I'm pandering in such a way that it feels like I have empty support that is just there to be like, oh, yes, I support everybody everywhere forever. And it's like this sort of hollow support, which I don't think anybody in cover has that. I think people that speak out about this typically are very invested in it themselves. As somebody who questions my place in the LGBTQ plus community, there is a part of me that feels like I'm just trying for sympathy or some level of clout or unfair support when I speak out on it. Oh, look at me, I'm so supportive and I care so much. It feels like it rings hollow. And that's not fair because I do, but I feel that way because I'm still questioning myself as a person. I feel that if I'm constantly like kind of throwing empty platitudes that don't mean anything without taking true action or making genuine statements and talking like we are now in a more vulnerable way, in a more nuanced way, I feel like I am just taking advantage of a community that I don't even know where I fit into. I don't want to go too far on the other end of that spectrum and just not ever talk about it, because I feel like if I don't talk about it, then I create a space where people can put their blinders on and pretend that like queer people don't exist, basically. And that too. But for this month, for every month, for the entire year, for my entire career, forever, for always. Happy Pride, gamers.